Welcome to Asian Star Trend. Our channel updates hot news about Asia's most popular stars. Please subscribe and comment to help us update better videos. When the veil lifted, a moment that moved the internet to tears. It wasn't just a photo shoot. It was a story, quiet yet seismic, soft yet unforgettable. When Yulong lifted Yang Mimi's red bridal veil, the internet held its breath. In that single gesture, thousands of people felt something stir inside them, something deep, wordless, and universally human. This wasn't a scripted romance or a staged publicity stunt. Their Chinese-style wedding shoot felt like a scene from a dream long buried in collective memory, the kind of love that speaks without words, that finds you across time. Yulong stood calm and grounded, a figure of strength. Yang Mimi, shy but luminous, a presence of grace. Together, they formed a portrait of emotional harmony rarely seen, one that didn't demand attention but quietly earned it. The red veil fluttered. The sword pendant swayed. And suddenly, viewers weren't just watching, they were feeling. It was as if a classical ink painting had come to life, each frame imbued with stillness and soul. In a digital age often dominated by spectacle, this moment reminded everyone of something far more powerful: sincerity. Audiences walked away not just entertained, but touched, reminded that real connection doesn't need noise. Sometimes, it only takes a glance, a breath, a silent vow. And just like that, two people who weren't even married in real life gave millions a reason to believe in love again. Dressed in tradition, bound by emotion, the wedding shoot that stirred a nation. Yulong stepped forward in a crimson ceremonial robe, its fabric shimmering with golden dragon and phoenix embroidery, symbols of unity, strength, and eternity. Every movement he made was deliberate, dignified, as if shaped by centuries of ancestral ritual. He wasn't merely dressed as a groom, he embodied the spirit of a nobleman from a bygone dynasty. In his gaze, you could see the weight of responsibility but also a tenderness so raw it transcended time. Opposite him stood Yang Mimi, adorned in a phoenix crown and flowing red cape. She looked every bit the graceful bride, yet her quiet presence spoke louder than words. There was no exaggerated glamour, no performance. Her beauty felt like spring rain, subtle, nourishing, unforgettable. Every small gesture carried the softness and inner strength of Eastern femininity. In stillness, she became poetry. Together, they painted a scene that wasn't just visually arresting, it was emotionally historic. The crimson palette, the intricate textures, the precise staging all echoed the grandeur of Chinese heritage. But what truly moved audiences wasn't the regalia. It was the gaze, that fleeting moment when Yulong looked at Yang Mimi unguarded, full of silent emotion. The world seemed to pause. No words were spoken, yet everything was understood. In a single look, centuries of love stories found their modern echo. And viewers were left breathless, as if reminded, the truest love needs no declaration, just a glance that says "I see you," across lifetimes. No words, no soundtrack, just love. The moment Yulong's gaze captivated a generation. In Yulong's eyes, there was no performance, no role to play, only the quiet devotion of a man looking at the woman he cherishes. That gaze was more than affection, it was a vow. Not rehearsed, not scripted but real. "I'm here and I will always be here." In a world full of noise, that silent understanding spoke louder than any declaration. There was no music playing, yet his eyes composed a love song more moving than any soundtrack. When Yulong slowly raised Yang Mimi's red bridal veil, time itself seemed to pause. The internet fell into collective stillness. No dramatic speeches, no exaggerated gestures, just one moment of raw truth. And somehow, it hit deeper than the most emotional scenes. That lifted hand, that gentle lean, that unwavering gaze. Each movement told a story of two souls who had waited, who had weathered, who had finally arrived. It wasn't acting, it was love, distilled to its purest form. As if they weren't stepping onto a set, but stepping into the life they had always dreamed of together. In an era where wedding shoots often chase spectacle, dramatic lighting, trendy edits, borrowed aesthetics, this was something else entirely. It was a return to essence, to sincerity, to connection. And perhaps that's why millions were moved, because in the world that often forgets what real love looks like, Yulong and Yang Mimi reminded us with nothing more than a look: quiet love, eternal beauty, How Yulong and Yang Mimi redefined the modern wedding photo. Yulong and Yang Mimi's traditional wedding shoot feels like a breath of spring, gentle, timeless, and steeped in the soul of Eastern aesthetics. While wrapped in centuries-old symbolism, their story is told through a modern lens, revealing something far rarer than perfection, emotional truth. They didn't pose as celebrities. They didn't act as characters. In those still frames, they were simply two people in love quietly, deeply, and unashamedly. The red robes, phoenix crown, and ancient motifs weren't just ornamental, they mirrored an inner world of restraint and reverence, of strength wrapped in softness. What the photos captured was not just beauty but spirit. Eastern artistry thrives on space, on the unspoken, the unsaid. In every fold of fabric, every flicker of eye contact, there is meaning. A calm richness that lingers long after the first glance. Every image feels like a brushstroke from a Tang Dynasty poem, quiet, deliberate, and profoundly felt. In today's world of curated perfection and extravagant displays, these images whisper something different. That love doesn't always need to shout to be heard. Sometimes, it's found in silence, in a shared look, a subtle smile, a steady hand reaching out. Yulong and Yang Mimi's wedding shoot doesn't just show love. It reminds us that true love can be quiet, grounded, and everlasting. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful kind of romance of all. Not just a shoot, a love letter that broke the internet. The moment Yulong and Yang Mimi's wedding photos were released, the internet ignited. From Weibo to Zaya Hongshu, Douyin to Bilibili, timelines overflowed with reposts, fan edits, and emotional commentary. Netizens flooded the comment sections with disbelief and longing. Is this real? Are they actually getting married? But the frenzy wasn't just about aesthetics, it was emotional culmination. For months, fans had followed the subtle evolution of their bond. A lingering glance on set, soft whispers behind the scenes, the brief spark of eye contact on variety shows. Each moment became a breadcrumb in a growing narrative of connection. And people didn't just observe it, they felt it. This shoot wasn't a surprise, it was a quiet answer to countless silent questions. A visual confirmation of what so many had hoped, that something real existed between them. Every frame felt like a love letter. Every gesture, no matter how small, spoke volumes. The veil lift, the way they looked at each other, it was all unmistakably genuine. At some point, shipping this couple evolved beyond fandom. It became something deeper, a reflection of people's own hopes, desires, and dreams for love. Through Yulong and Yang Mimi, audiences weren't just watching a story unfold. They were emotionally invested and, in some quiet, collective way, personally fulfilled. More than a photo shoot, how Yulong and Yang Mimi rekindled our faith in love in a world that often feels rushed, cynical, and performative. Witnessing a moment of raw, unfiltered affection is quietly revolutionary. Yulong and Yang Mimi's wedding photos weren't just a trending topic, they were a gentle balm to a weary audience, a mirror reflecting the kind of love so many still dare to dream of. Cameras can lie. Eyes don't. While countless celebrity shoots are polished to perfection, something always feels staged, a glance too rehearsed, a smile too timed. But this was different. Yulong's steady gaze, Yang Mimi's soft smile, there were no filters, no overacting, no elaborate edits. Just two people, standing still in a storm of attention, quietly saying everything with their eyes. One fan captured it best, the way he looks at her, it's not acting. It's a man who knows he's found the one. In the hustle of daily life, we tuck away our childhood visions of love, the red dresses, the quiet vows, the feeling of being truly chosen. But this shoot felt like a key, gently unlocking that long-forgotten softness inside us. It wasn't loud, it wasn't promotional, and perhaps that's why it struck so deeply. Because it reminded us, real love doesn't shout, it resonates. In those photos, they didn't look like celebrities. They looked like us in love, a little vulnerable, and unmistakably real. Not everyone gets to wear a phoenix crown or a crimson robe. But everyone deserves to be looked at the way Yulong looks at Yang Mimi, with certainty, with tenderness, with no need for words. If this touched you too, tell us, what does your dream wedding feel like? Share your favorite moment and follow us for more stories that make love feel possible again.